Well, hey everybody, I am back out in the studio in the woods, Thatcher Woods, which now is like 5 minutes from my home. Um, but leaves are for the most part off the trees, except for back over here. That's a European buckthorn thicket. They're working on clearing that out, but you can always tell that that bush by the fact that it holds its leaves into December, and it is definitely not native, and it is very invasive. So it takes them a while to get rid of it, and they just have to keep at it. Anyway. Well, hey, this is Future Todd. You might notice in this video that I'm spending a lot of time holding my arm kind of funny, my right arm, and looking down at it. That's because I was controlling the iPhone with my Apple Watch, which is the first time I've tried doing that. Probably would have been a good idea to check this out before I went out and did a video with it, right? But essentially what was going on is this. I bought this Apple Watch a few months back, Apple Prime Day, pretty good deal. And so far I've really appreciated some of the things it does. But when I was setting up the video out in the woods, I set up my iPhone, got it on a tripod, and then I'd go and sit down, and I would be, essentially what I would see is this. And who wants to see that, right? So, so it turns out, it took me a little while to figure out what was going on. In the camera remote on the Apple Watch, you control the zoom with the crown. And what was happening was my jacket sleeve was actually rubbing against the crown and zooming me in and out. So I looked this up. There's actually no way to disable this, which is weird. Apple Watches have been out for how many years now? And I found a question on Apple's discussion forum about this that's a couple years old, and there's no way to turn that off. If you go into the general settings, into your settings, actually there's a way in accessibility in the settings, which I think used to be under general and it's not. Now it's separate, but you can turn zoom off, but that's only to zoom the screen. That has no effect on the camera remote app. So the other thing is, you notice that I wear this watch on my right wrist. It's because I'm left-handed. I'm pretty much totally left dominant, except for using my eyes. And that's a whole nother story, because I went from being left dominant there to having to use my right eye. I'll do a video about that. But you can flip the display in the settings and then just turn the watch around and put it on so the crown is on the other side. The problem with that is I've been wearing watches for most of my life, and always on my right wrist. And of course, all conventional watches have the crown on the right side. So if I do that, all these years of muscle memory of putting the watch on, because I'd have to flip the watch around and so on, it would take me a while to overcome that. Seems to me that it would be fairly simple to put a setting into the camera remote app saying don't zoom or lock zoom, so you can zoom it with your watch and get it to the right spot and not have it potentially do this. Now this shirt's not rubbing up against it, but yeah, Apple, come on, put something in there to disable that. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. Anyway, today what I thought I would quickly do, I have my little ZS 200 here, and you know, this is just perfect grab and go for me, you know, when I want to go out and take a walk through here, but I don't want to carry a lot of equipment. You can still come back with some pretty nice photos of interesting things that you may run across. I mentioned in a previous video that using a polarizer obviously is kind of problematic because there are no filter threads on this camera, and so you can, you know, there are aftermarket things that you can put on here. You can stick on a little filter thread mount. You can't get the magnetic ones for this diameter lens, unfortunately. So what I've done, back here on the log, is I've taken a 46 millimeter to 67 millimeter step-up ring. And I've mentioned this before, but I have done a modification to this. The problem with this is if you put it on, and let's say you have the camera on a tripod, you have to hold it on. Like if you're pointing the camera down, it'll slip off if you don't do something about that. So what I've done is I bought some black duct tape, gaffer's tape. Yeah, duct tape. So what I've done is I bought some black duct tape, and I just started layering it on around the inner diameter of this step-up ring, and now it kind of fits snugly over the lens, and if I point the lens down, it doesn't come off. So that's kind of cool. Makes it a lot easier, a lot cheaper than buying an aftermarket filter adapter, and you know, you can go ahead and take a photo here. The sun's over there. You line this up, and boom. Thing is, I don't often use a polarizer. Mainly, you know, as far as darkening skies, making them more intensely saturated, that's easy to do in post these days. The main thing is glare coming off of leaves, for instance. A lot of leaves have a waxy coating, and that will shine, and the only way to get rid of that is using a polarizer, because you're just really not going to be able to do it in post. That is it for now. Thanks for watching. If this was helpful or useful to you, please hit that like button. Any comments, questions, leave them down below. I'm Todd Banner. I'll see you next time.